Business groups are supporting plans for the Route 29 Western Bypass, and they're urging the new leadership in Richmond to do the same. We have an exclusive interview with the incoming Transportation Secretary coming up.
It was just hard not to come to the conclusion we came to.
A juror in the Tabor White triple murder trial speaks out about the case. It's a story you'll see only on NBC 29. Your news at Sunrise continues right now.
Live in high definition from the area's most experienced news team, this is NBC 29 HD News at Sunrise.
Good morning, I'm Ken Jefferson.
And I'm Jennifer Von Reuter. Thanks for joining us on this Friday, January 17th. And a lot of people around here have a little extra pep in their step because it's Friday.
Yes, it's hard to say Friday and not smile at the same time, isn't it? We've got a pleasant start to the day, albeit a little bit on the chilly side, but no precipitation out there right now. Let's see what we can expect before you head out the door. We already have sent David Rogers out the door. He's in downtown Charlottesville with your first look at the weather. Good morning, David.
Hey, good morning, Ken. Good morning, Jen. Also, this morning Sunrise Stumper question. Jen, Ken, back to you.
All right, thanks, David.
We begin with breaking news this morning. Charlottesville fire crews are investigating an early morning house fire.
NBC 29's Whitney Harris is live in our Charlottesville newsroom with the details. Good morning, Whitney.
Jen, good morning. The call for that fire came in just before 3:20 this morning. A neighbor who lives blocks away says that he woke up and thought his house was on fire because there was so much smoke in that area. Now, the fire happened in the 500 block of 12th Street. We're told an older woman lived in the two-story house with her daughter. Charlottesville's fire chief says only one person was in the home at the time, and that person was able to get out safely without injuries. There was one injury to report, though. A person tried to help the woman inside the home and suffered some minor smoke inhalation. That person was treated and released at the scene. Neighbors gathered to watch as fire crews busted out windows and worked to contain the blaze.
Upon arrival, we had heavy fire conditions in the rear of the structure. We believe that was the origin of the fire. And then again, heavy smoke conditions throughout the structure.
You can see from the video we have that fire did cause severe damage to the home. The fire marshal is now investigating the cause of the fire. The woman who was in the home and her dog will both be relocated with help from the Red Cross. Jen.
All right, Whitney Harris live in our Charlottesville newsroom. Thank you, Whitney. New at Sunrise, from Danville to Charlottesville, business groups are pressing Virginia's new leaders to take sides on an old debate to build or not to build the long-discussed Route 29 Western Bypass.
Now, in an interview with NBC 29, Virginia's next Secretary of Transportation says he could weigh in on the bypass in a matter of weeks. NBC 29's Ed Sykes has more now from the state capitol.
To have a successful project, you do need to have people understand. They may not agree, but they understand what you're trying to accomplish.
And Virginia's next Secretary of Transportation in Richmond. I'm Ed Sykes, NBC 29 HD News.
Lane says he looks forward to hearing input from all sides. The state legislature must still confirm his appointment as Secretary of Transportation.
Operations at Orange County schools are back to normal this morning after a bomb threat was called in for Locust Grove Elementary and middle schools. The county sheriff's office has arrested a 13-year-old 7th grader at Locust Grove Middle School for yesterday's threat. This is the second student in our area to be arrested for making bomb threats this week after Greene County deputies arrested a freshman at William Monroe High School Monday.
A juror in the Tabor White murder trial says the evidence of guilt was overwhelming. Rick DeLilio says race and evidence tampering were not an issue in this case. He says evidence of White's DNA on a shirt and a gun sealed the murder and conviction. He adds again that evidence was not that the evidence that was tampered with was not central to the case, and while the jury didn't find the victims at fault, DeLilio says they voluntarily placed themselves in the situation.
It wasn't as if he dragged somebody off the street. Those people in that vehicle knew what they were doing that night. You know, they were all there because there was something to be gained.
In the end, DeLilio says he's satisfied the judge upheld the jury's recommended sentence of 76 years.
Several proposals in the state legislature suggest extending the time limit for emergency custody orders, but a civil rights group says that comes with challenges. State Senator Creed Deeds is proposing a bill to extend the current 6-hour emergency custody window to 24 hours. It comes 2 months after his son was released from an ECO, attacked his father, and then killed himself. The American Civil Liberties Union says it has not taken a position on the proposed bills, but wants lawmakers to keep civil liberties in mind while drafting this new legislation.
If we're going to keep somebody longer than 6 hours or 8 hours or whatever that limit's going to be, then they have a right to a hearing and they should be in a therapeutic environment.
The Senate Mental Health Subcommittee is expected to vote on a final proposal next week.
State lawmakers are reviewing a bill making it easier for people with mental disabilities to live more normal lives. JP's Law is named for 9-year-old JP Mines, who was diagnosed with autism. It would allow anyone with autism or an intellectual disability to list their condition on their driver's license or a state-issued ID. Richmond Senator Donald McCheechens hopes it will help ease interactions with law enforcement. The State Senate and Transportation Committee passed that measure yesterday. It now goes to the full Senate for a vote. An upcoming conference at UVA will focus on sexual misconduct issues among college students. President Teresa Sullivan says the two-day conference will discuss how to change the culture that fuels the issue. Registration is now open for the event, which starts February 10th. For more information, go to our website at NBC29.com.
Renovations coming to UVA's Rotunda are expected to last for the next 2 years. That's raising concerns of how some UVA traditions will be affected. The renovations will bring more classroom space, a new elevator, expanded restrooms, and a new ceiling for the dome room. UVA says the work will leave the Rotunda fully or partially unusable from this May to summer of 2016.
Because they won't be able to get inside the building, at least in 2015, there will have to be sort of an alternate plan developed, and those conversations are ongoing now.
Phase 2 of the $43 million project is scheduled to begin after graduation in May.
Milk prices could be going way up if Congress can't reach a deal on a farm bill.
We'll explain the main point of contention that's worrying some Valley dairy farmers when your News at Sunrise continues.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to NBC 29 News at Sunrise. We are going to start things out with our exclusive time-lapse video from Wintergreen Mountain, folks. Those pictures, folks. Again, we'll be picking a winner in about a week and a half.
You have to say, I love looking at all these pictures.
I know it. It's really cool, isn't it?
It's going to be tough judging.
Yeah, it is. It really is. All right. Thanks, David.
Okay.
The battle over a farm bill continues on Capitol Hill. If a deal isn't reached soon, milk prices could be on the rise. The center of the debate is over supply restrictions that would curb milk production when prices get too low. Valley Congressman Bob Goodlatte is pushing an amendment that would reject supply restriction. He says he's confident lawmakers will come to an agreement soon.
When you think of ice cream, the beer company Yuengling doesn't usually come to mind.
But it will soon, as the company is returning to its roots. The company is planning to get back into the ice cream making business. We'll explain all about this when your News at Sunrise continues. 6:17. 6:19 our time. A family best known for beer is making a sweet comeback.
After a lapse of nearly 3 decades, the Yuengling brand is getting back into the ice cream business. Mark Hiller explains.
Quarts of chocolate marshmallow ice cream passed through the assembly line Thursday at Libby's Dairy in Walker Township. This isn't just any brand of ice cream. The name on the containers is Yuengling, the same surname behind America's oldest brewery.
We started making ice cream in 1920 and made it all the way up until 1985.
David Yuengling's great-grandfather Frank Yuengling initially launched into the ice cream industry as a way to offset losses during America's Prohibition period in the 20th century. Despite a thriving business, Yuengling's ice cream ceased production 3 decades ago. David decided it was time for a sweet comeback.
People have always asked me why we stopped making it, and they suggested that we should start making it again, so I'm just kind of following up on people's demands.
Yuengling teamed up with fellow Schuylkill County native Rob Borad to relaunch the Yuengling ice cream brand and capitalize on a well-known name.
People may buy it once because of the name, but we hope they continue buying it because of the quality.
Now, before you ask, Yuengling's ice cream does not make a beer flavor ice cream. However, it does offer up something called Black and Tan, which is a combination dark chocolate and sea salt caramel. It's one of 10 initial flavors that Yuengling is launching during its ice cream business reboot.
We wanted to come out with some really good flavors to start with, and it just was much more manageable.
Yuengling's ice cream will be available in Pennsylvania and 6 other states at supermarkets and independently owned grocery stores.
That was Mark Hiller reporting 10 flavors of the super premium ice cream is due out in stores by mid-February. They will go for about $6 a quart. Doesn't that sound good, Whitney?
Oh,
that ice
yeah.
cream?
I think we could all go for a little ice cream this morning. Well, some good news when it comes to gas prices. Just in time for the weekend, gas prices have gone down just a little bit in Central Virginia. Let's take a look at the list. In Charlottesville, gas is $3.09 at the Sam's Club on Hilton Heights Road, $3.10 at the Wilco Hess on Richmond Road. Moving on. In Verona, gas is $3.07 at the Wilco Hess on Lee Highway. And moving on one more time, in Crozet, gas is $3.16 at the BP gas station on Crozet Avenue. For a complete list of the cheapest gas prices near you, log on to NBC29.com, go to Web Exclusives, and click on Gas Price Watch. Let's check in with David Rogers now to see maybe ice cream weather. David, probably not.
Yeah, if you're indoors where temperatures could be, 70 to 80 degrees with your thermostat. But boy, a little chilly out there this morning, Whitney, for ice cream.
Okay, thank you, David.
Okay.
Albemarle County schools are preparing to pinch some pennies.
The school district is facing a $7 million shortfall, and we'll explain why. Some of the reasons why the school needs to tighten their budget. That's coming up. Our time, 6:24.
It's infuriating, but not unexpected, but infuriating.
State lawmakers react to yesterday's announcement that Virginia's Attorney General will not defend the state's ban on same-sex marriage. More on the debate from the state capitol is ahead.
But first, we're learning new details about the gift scandal surrounding former Governor Bob McDonnell and his wife. Details on how they turned down a plea deal coming up. Your News at Sunrise continues right now.
Live in high definition from the area's most experienced news team. This is NBC 29 HD News at Sunrise.
Good morning, I'm Jennifer Von Reuter.
And I'm Ken Jefferson. Thanks for waking up with us on this cold Friday morning. It's Friday, January 24th. And because of the cold weather, we have some school closings to pass along this morning.
Let's check in with David Rogers now, who is tracking the very latest weather conditions for us this morning. Hi, David.
Hey, good morning, Jen. Good morning, Ken. Pretty cold stuff out here on East Market Street. We've got clear.
Okay, thanks a lot, David.
Okay.
Breaking overnight, a car bomb killed at least 5 people and injured dozens of others in Cairo this morning. The attack damaged the facade of the Egyptian police headquarters, as well as the Islamic Museum and the National Archives building. It's the deadliest attack since a military coup ousted Islamic President Mohamed Morsi last summer. There's been no immediate claim of responsibility. Governor Bob McDonnell and his wife Maureen will make their first court appearance following their indictment on federal corruption charges.
Now we're learning new details about how the McDonald's could have avoided those charges by accepting a plea deal. NBC 29's Whitney Harris is tracking this story from our Charlottesville newsroom. She joins us now live. Good morning, Whitney.
Ken, good morning. According to the Washington Post, the former governor turned down an offer by prosecutors in December. McDonnell would have pled guilty to 1 felony fraud charge. His wife Maureen would have avoided charges altogether. Now the couple is facing 14 counts of federal corruption charges. That's for accepting more than $165,000 in gifts and loans from former Star Scientific CEO Johnny Williams, allegedly in return for assisting his company. But the Washington Post suggests it's Maureen McDonnell that plays a significant role in the gift scandal. It reports that people familiar with the investigation say that within private meetings, the couple's attorneys told prosecutors that Miss McDonnell at the time actively hid Williams' gifts from her husband. That's something that will be tested in court to see whether the former governor may have been in the dark about the extent of Williams' generosity. As for today, the McDonnells are expected in Richmond Federal Court for an arraignment hearing, and that's expected to start at 10 a.m., Ken.
And we'll have an update on NBC 29 HD News at noon. Whitney Harris live in our Charlottesville newsroom. Thanks, Whitney.
Virginia's Attorney General has officially joined an effort challenging the state's 2006 ban on gay marriage. Democratic Attorney General Mark Herring made that announcement in Richmond yesterday. 2 separate federal court cases are challenging the constitutionality of the law under the 14th Amendment. As one of those cases heads to court next week, Herring is changing the state's legal position. He says it is his duty not to defend a law he finds unconstitutional.
There are those who will say that the Attorney General is required to defend every challenge to a state law, even a law that is unconstitutional. they could not be more wrong.
State laws banning same-sex marriage still apply and likely won't change without action from the General Assembly or the Supreme Court.
In Albemarle County, Herring's announcement is drawing some support. Attorney Andre Higgs says Virginia's ban on gay marriage is unconstitutional based on a similar case in California that was struck down by the Supreme Court.
I think based on the Hollingsworth U.S. Supreme Court decision, that will fail. They will not have standing to enter an appearance. I think we're going to get married. That's what I think is going to happen. It might still be a little while, but it's going to happen.
Haig says even if the ban is overturned, it could be years before same-sex couples could marry in Virginia because of appeals. U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder also talked briefly about same-sex marriage during his visit yesterday at the University of Virginia. Holder says he went through a similar situation as Mark Herring, saying his office would no longer defend the Defense Against Marriage Act.
I mean, the states are the ones that have typically dealt with questions of marriage, but I think ultimately we're going to have the Supreme Court is going to have to confront this question about the constitutionality of statutes or the policies of states that would forbid same-sex marriages.
Holder visited UVA Miller Center, where he taped an interview for Public TV's American Forum.
The University of Virginia is mourning one of its most prominent leaders. Joshua Darden Jr. passed away yesterday following a long illness. The Hampton Roads native served as a member of the Board of Visitors from 1982 to 1990 and acted as rector for 3 years during that time. He also chaired a campaign for the University of Virginia, which raised more than $1 billion between 1993 and 2000. UVA's Darden School of Business was named after his uncle. Joshua Darden Jr. was 77 years old.
People in Greene County are hashing out the details of a proposed cell tower with AT&T. The nearly 200-foot cell tower would sit off Route 810 near the town of Gear. Last night, AT&T representatives answered questions in an open forum. A number of people expressed concerns about the tower's location near a church or school, but the biggest concern is that the tower would ruin the landscape.
We plan on being heard. This valley is so pretty. If you don't draw the line here, where are you going to draw the line?
AT&T maintains it will construct a tower that will blend in with the landscape. The Greene County Planning Commission will take up the issue on February 18th.
The Albemarle County School Board unanimously approved moving forward with the Agner-Hurt classroom additions. The proposed addition will help provide relief from overcrowding. The project will do away with traditional desks and walls separating classrooms and instead will have open teaching rooms for interactive learning. Construction could begin in June, and the project is expected to be completed by the start of the 2015-2016 school year. A comedy legend best known for his role as Mr. Huxtable is making his way back to NBC.
And today marks a milestone for Apple. 30 years ago, Apple unveiled a computer that started it all. Those details are coming up.
All right, everybody, welcome back to NBC 29 News at Sunrise on this Friday, folks, the weekend.
Okay, David, thank you.
Okay.
Apple is celebrating a milestone. Today marks the 30th anniversary of the original Apple Macintosh computer.
So if you have an Apple computer, take a look at what started it all. In 1984, the Macintosh 128K was released by Apple Inc. and unveiled by the late Steve Jobs. The computer sold for about $2,500.
Still costs the same.
The Macintosh was to be the first personal computer with graphical user interface and was coined the computer for the rest of us. The first commercial introducing the computer was actually aired during the Super Bowl. The ad illustrated how Mac would one-up its rival IBM.
Here's another milestone of sorts. The king of 80s sitcoms is heading back to TV. Bill Cosby is returning to NBC for a new sitcom. He'll play the patriarch of a multi-generational family. The show brings the 76-year-old comedian back to the same network where his groundbreaking Cosby Show ran for 8 years.
I loved watching that show as a
Dr.
kid.
Huxtable, yes.
Great
family.
Still ahead this morning, more changes could be on the way for Charlottesville bus riders.
And once again, transit officials are looking for riders for their feedback. We'll explain some of the proposed changes and how you can weigh in coming up, 6:17 our time. Another story we're following this Wednesday morning. Former Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell and his wife have been indicted on 14 federal corruption charges. NBC 29's Ed Sykes has details and reaction this morning from the state capitol.
Former Governor Bob McDonnell, in retirement for just 10 days, is right back in the spotlight. In Richmond, I'm Ed Sykes, NBC 29 HD News.
Bob and Maureen McDonnell will make their first appearance in Richmond Federal Court for an arraignment hearing this Friday at 10 o'clock. Former Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli is weighing in on charges brought against the former governor and his wife.
We like to think of ourselves as a pretty smooth-running, clean state. Doesn't mean everything goes the way we all want it to all the time. This puts a dent in that, and that's not something we're happy to see with the history we've got, which has been pretty darn good.
Cuccinelli also says, given the public attention the investigation has received, the indictment comes as no surprise. Cuccinelli also weighed in on another potential scandal involving New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. He says it makes sense for Christie to step down as chairman of the Republican Governors Association. In an appearance on CNN's Crossfire, Cuccinelli said Christie, quote, does not serve the goals of that organization by staying as chairman. One of Christie's advisors fired back, calling the comments disappointing given the RGA was one of Cuccinelli's biggest campaign donors in his unsuccessful bid for governor. The Virginia Supreme Court has refused to reconsider its decision to dismiss a wrongful death verdict against the state stemming from the 2007 Virginia Tech shootings. In March of 2012, a jury found that the state should have issued more timely campus warnings after the first 2 victims of 32 people were shot to death. The state Supreme Court overturned the verdict last fall, concluding that Tech administrators had no way to anticipate the gunman planned to shoot more people. It is the deadliest mass shooting in modern American history. Still ahead this morning, if you drive a mini car like a Honda Fit or Fiat, listen up.
Mini cars are some of the lightest vehicles in the U.S. market, so that gives them an inherent safety disadvantage from the start.
We'll have details on a new report coming out this morning.
The flu is turning deadly across the U.S.
Widespread flu activity is impacting half the country. It's already responsible for nearly 20 deaths, and experts say the number of people coming down with the flu is only going up. What you need to know to stay safe is coming up. At 5, a group in Charlottesville is lacing up their bowling shoes to raise money for an upcoming charity event.
We'll tell you how hitting the lanes could help future mentoring programs just ahead.